Hello friends, welcome to my lecture on zeros and singularities of an analytic function. Suppose we are given an analytic function fz in a domain D, then it is said to have a 0 at z equal to z naught in D if the value of f at z equal to z naught is 0. Now the 0 of fz at z equal to z naught is said to be of order n if f z naught, f prime z naught and n minus one of the derivative of fz at z equal to z naught is 0 and nth derivative of fz at z equal to z naught is non-zero. Say for example, we can consider fz equal to say sin square z. Okay. Then we know that fz equal to 0 gives sin z equal to 0, which means that z equal to n pi. Okay, n is equal to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 and so on. Okay. Now if you take the derivative, so z at z equal to n pi, fz has zeros. Now let us find f prime z. F prime z is 2 sin z into cos z, which is equal to sin 2z. Okay. So again at z equal to n pi, f prime n pi is equal to sin 2 n pi. So this is equal to 0. So but if you find f double prime z, f double prime z is 2 times cos 2z. So then f double prime n pi will be equal to 2 cos 2 n pi. Okay, and cos 2 n pi is equal to 1, so we will get f double prime n pi equal to 2, which is non-zero. So we can say that fz equal to sin square z has zeros of order 2 at z equal to n pi. Okay. So fz has zeros of order 2 at z equal to n pi, where n is equal to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 and so on. Now if you write the Taylor series expansion of fz about the point z equal to z naught, then we can write fz equal to fz naught plus z minus z naught f prime z naught plus z minus z naught to the power n minus 1 over n minus 1 factorial f n minus 1 z naught plus z minus z naught to the power n over n factorial f n z naught and so on. Now here if your function fz has a 0 of order n, then f z naught will be 0, f prime z naught will be 0, f n minus 1 z naught will be 0. So first n terms will vanish and we will have fz equal to z minus z naught to the power n over n factorial f n z naught, then z minus z naught to the power n plus 1 over n plus 1 factorial into f n plus 1 z naught and so on. So there we can take z minus z naught to the power n common and we will get fz equal to z minus z naught to the power n into f n z naught over n factorial, f n plus 1 z naught over n plus 1 factorial, z minus z naught and so on. Now the bracketed expression we can denote by the function gz. It is the function of z, we can write it as gz. Now gz is given by this power series in z minus z naught. So it is a analytic function and this analytic function has the region of convergence of the Taylor series of fz about z equal to z naught. Okay. So gz is analytic in the region mod of z minus z naught less than r, and you can see that if you write z naught for z in the bracketed expression, then gz naught it becomes fn plus fn z naught over n factorial. Okay. gz naught becomes fn z naught over n factorial and fn z naught is not equal to 0. Okay. fn z naught is not equal to 0. So gz naught will be non-zero, and therefore if an analytic function fz has a 0 of order n at z equal to z naught, then it can always be represented as fz equal to z minus z naught to the power n into gz, where gz is analytic in the region mod of z minus z naught less than r, where r is the distance of the point z naught from the nearest singularity of fz. Now let us discuss isolated point. A point A, okay, a point A of a point set S is called an isolated point of S if there is a neighborhood of A which contains no other point of S except A. So, if you take in the complex plane, suppose this is your point A, it will be called an isolated point if you can find a small neighborhood of this point, okay, which contains no other point of A except A, which contains no other point of S except A. On the other hand, if every neighborhood of A contains a point of S other than A, hence infinitely many points. Suppose in the other situation, suppose this is your point A, you take any neighborhood of Z equal to A, okay, it contains a point of S other than A, then the point A is called the limit point of S. Now, if it contains a point of S other than A, you take even a smaller neighborhood that will also contain a point of S other than A, you take still smaller neighborhood of A, okay, it contains another point of S except A. So, any neighborhood of Z equal to A contains infinitely many points of S. So, then the point A is called a limit point of S. Now, the point A which is a limit point of S may or may not belong to S. For example, let us consider S equal to I by n, where n belongs to n is a natural number. So, S contains the points I by 1, I by 2, I by 3 and so on. Okay. Now, if you plot these points in the complex plane, then suppose this is I by 2, then I by 3, then I by 4 and so on. Okay. So, each point of S is an isolated point. You can always find a small neighborhood of the point I or a small neighborhood of the point I by 2, okay, such that it does not contain any other point of S. So, each point here, okay, is an isolated point of S, but Z equal to 0, Z equal to 0 is a limit point of S, because howsoever small neighborhood of Z equal to 0 you take, infinitely many members of S will belong to that neighborhood. Okay. So, Z equal to 0 is a limit point of S, and you can see that Z equal to 0 does not belong to S. Now, if you take S equal to set of all elements Z such that mod of Z less than 1, then this is your circle mod Z equal to 1. So, interior of this circle we are considering, okay. Interior of this circle is the region given by mod Z less than 1. Then S has no isolated points. You take any point here, okay, you cannot find a small neighborhood of this point which contains no other point of S. Okay. So, this set S has no isolated points, and all points of the set and also the points on the boundary, that is mod Z equal to 1, they are limit points of this set, because you take any point in the interior of mod Z equal to 1, howsoever small neighborhood you take, it will contain infinitely many points of S, and if you take any point on mod Z equal to 1, you can always, howsoever small neighborhood of that point you take, it will contain again infinitely many points of S. So, set of limit points of S will be the set of limit points of S here is the set of all Z such that mod Z is less than or equal to 1. You can see the set of limit points is bigger than the set S itself, okay. And here set of limit points is a singleton set. Set of limit points is equal to singleton set 0. Okay. Each point here is an isolated point, but here no point is an isolated point. Okay. Now, let us show that zeros of an analytic function f z are isolated. Suppose f z is analytic in a domain D. Okay. Suppose this is your domain. Okay. Z naught is any point in D. Okay. Further, let f z have a 0 of order n at z equal to z naught in D. Then f z naught, f prime z naught, f double prime z naught, and so on, f n minus 1 z naught is equal to 0, but f n z naught is non-zero. Okay. The Taylor series of f about z equal to z naught gives us f z equal to f z naught plus z minus z naught, f prime z naught, z minus z naught whole square by 2 factorial f double prime z naught, and so on, f n minus 1 f n minus 1 z naught over n minus 1 factorial z minus z naught to the power n minus 1 plus f n z naught n factorial z minus z naught to the power n plus f n plus 1 z naught divided by n plus 1 factorial z minus z naught to the power n plus 1 and so on. Okay. Now, using these conditions, okay, we get f n z naught over n factorial z minus z naught to the power n plus f n plus 1 z naught divided by n plus 1 factorial z minus z naught to the power n plus 1 and so on. And we can then write z minus z naught to the power n into f n z naught over n factorial f n plus 1 z naught over n plus 1 factorial z minus z naught and so on. Okay. Now, this I can write as z minus z naught to the power n into g z. Okay. Then, where g z is an analytic function, because it is given by this power series, g z is analytic in some neighborhood of mod of in some neighborhood of z naught. Okay. In some neighborhood mod of z minus z naught less than r. Okay. And g z naught is not equal to 0. Okay. Because g z naught is equal to f n z naught over n factorial, and f n z naught is non-zero. So, this is not equal to 0. Now, so we will get some neighborhood of z naught, okay, in which g z is analytic and g z naught is not equal to 0. Now, g z is an analytic function. So, what will happen? It is continuous. Okay. Since g z is continuous, okay, in mod of z minus z naught less than r, and g z is not equal to 0. Okay. We can find a neighborhood of z naught such that g z is not equal to 0 for any z in this neighborhood. By continuity. Okay. So, we can find a neighborhood of this z naught in which, let us take its radius to be rho. Okay. So, 0 less than rho less than r. Okay. This radius is earlier the radius was r, okay. Now we can get rho, okay, like this. This is z naught, okay, this is radius rho and this is r, okay. So we can get neighborhood of z naught, say of radius rho, such that 0 less than rho less than r and gz is not equal to 0 for any z in this region, mod of z minus z naught less than rho. And then what will happen? Fz is equal to z minus z naught to the power n gz. So Fz will not be 0 for any z except z equal to z naught in the region mod of z minus z naught less than rho, okay. So then Fz is not equal to 0 for any z in mod of z minus z naught less than rho except at z naught. And so the 0 of Fz at z equal to z naught is an isolated 0, okay. So the zeros of an analytic function are isolated. Now a point z equal to z naught is said to be a singularity or singular point of an analytic function if Fz ceases to be analytic at that point. The function Fz is called singular at infinity if f1 by z is singular at z equal to 0. Now let us first consider removable singularity. If Fz the limit of Fz as z tends to z naught exists, then Fz is said to have a removable singularity. Such function can be made analytic at z equal to z naught by assigning a suitable value to Fz naught. So for example, let us consider the function Fz equal to sin z over z. It has a removable singularity at z equal to 0 because when z tends to 0, sin z by z, okay, sin z can be expanded as z minus z cube by 3 factorial plus z 5 by 5 factorial and so on. So sin z by z is equal to 1 minus z square by 3 factorial plus z4 by 5 factorial and so on, okay. And therefore limit z tends to 0, sin z by z is equal to 1. So this limit is equal to 1. So we can make the function Fz equal to sin z by z analytic by assigning the value 1 to Fz at z equal to 0. That means if you write Fz equal to sin z by z when z is not 0 and 1 when z equal to 0, then Fz is analytic at z equal to 0. So the singularity of Fz, okay, is said to be a removable singularity because it can be removed by assigning a suitable value to the function Fz at z equal to 0. Now suppose Fz has an isolated singularity at a point z equal to z naught. Isolated singularity means we can find a neighborhood of z equal to z naught in which there is no other singularity of the function Fz, okay. So let us say there is a neighborhood, okay, there is a neighborhood means you can find a circular neighborhood say of radius r in which there is no other singularity of the function Fz. So we can take say this is your z naught. Isolated singularity means we can find a neighborhood of z equal to z naught say of radius r in which there is no other singularity of the function, okay. So we can write the region as 0 less than mod of z minus z naught less than r. Then in this is annular region, okay. So function Fz can be represented by the Laurent series Fz equal to sigma n equal to 0 to infinity bn z minus z naught to the power n, sigma n equal to 1 to infinity Cn over z minus z naught to the power n, which is valid in this region, okay. 0 less than mod of z minus z naught less than r. R is the distance of z naught from the nearest singularity of Fz. Now the second term, this term, okay, the second term on the right side of equation 1 is called the principal part of Fz, okay. So this is called principal part, okay, of Fz at z equal to z naught. Now if it so happens that from some n onwards all the coefficients Cn's are 0, okay, from some n onwards all the coefficients Cn's are 0, okay, that is suppose Cm is not 0, but Cn equal to 0 for all n greater than m, that is Cm plus 1, Cm plus 2, Cm plus 3, they are all zeros, then the equation 1 will reduce to, this equation will reduce to Fz equal to sigma n equal to 0 to infinity Bn z minus z naught to the power n plus C1 over z minus z naught, C2 over z minus z naught square and so on, plus Cm over z minus z naught to the power m. In this case, where the principal part of Fz consists of only finitely many terms, there are only, you can see, m terms, okay, even it may happen that some coefficients C1, C2 and so on Cm minus 1, okay, they may be zeros. So, number of terms will be at most m here. Only we are saying here that Cm is not 0, we are not saying anything about the coefficient C1, C2, Cm minus 1. They may also be zeros. So, this principal part will contain at most m terms. So, that is why we say that the principal part consists of finitely many terms. The singularity of f at z naught is called a pole. So, if the principal part contains only finitely many terms, we say that the singularity of Fz at z equal to z naught is a pole, and the highest power of 1 over z minus z naught, that is m here, you can see Cm is non-zero, okay. So, the highest power of 1 over z minus z naught is m, that m is called the order of the pole. Now, if it so happens that m is equal to 1, that means you only have here in the principal part one term C1 over z minus z naught, then the pole of first order we will have m will be equal to 1. So, pole of first order is also called as simple pole. Now, if an analytic function f, say we are considering single valued functions in the complex plane, has a singularity other than a pole, okay. Suppose it so happens that an analytic function has a singularity other than a pole, then this singularity is called as an essential singularity, okay. Now, poles are by definition isolated singularities. You can see while defining pole here, we started with Fz has an isolated singularity, okay, at z equal to z naught. So, by definition poles are isolated singularities, okay. Thus, any singularity of Fz which is not isolated is called an essential singularity. Now, for example, the singularity of tan 1 by z at z equal to 0. Let us look at tan 1 by z. So, Fz equal to tan 1 by z can be written as sin 1 by z over cos 1 by z, okay. Now, singularities of tan 1 by z will be given by wherever cos 1 by z is 0. So, cos 1 by z is equal to 0 implies 1 over z equal to 2n plus 1 by 2 into pi, where n is equal to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 and so on, okay. So, wherever z is equal to 2 over 2n plus 1 pi, okay, wherever z is equal to this, cos 1 by z will be 0, okay. Now, you can see that as n goes to infinity, the sequence of these points converges to z equal to 0, okay. At all these points denominator is 0, cos 1 by z is 0. So, they are all singularities of the function Fz, okay. And you can also see that at these points, okay, cos 1 by z has a simple 0, that is 0 of order 1. If you take the derivative of cos 1 by z, it will be minus sin 1 by z into minus 1 by z square, which will not be 0 at these points. So, cos 1 by z has a simple 0 at these points, z equal to 2 over 2n plus 1 pi, and therefore, Fz has a simple pole at all these points, z equal to 2 over 2n plus 1 pi, okay. So, and the sequence of these simple poles, okay, converges to z equal to 0, and therefore, z equal to 0 is a non-isolated singularity of Fz equal to tan 1 by z, because every neighborhood of z equal to 0 contains a singularity of the function tan 1 by z. So z equal to 0 is a non-isolated singularity of tan 1 by z, and therefore we call it a essential singularity. So the singularity of f tan 1 by z at z equal to 0 is an essential singularity. Now an essential singularity may be isolated or not. Now when it can be isolated? It can be isolated provided the principal part contains infinitely many terms. So if the principal part of if in one infinitely many Cn's are different from 0, then singularity of fz at z equal to z naught is not a pole but an isolated essential singularity. So if the principal part of the lower series contains infinitely many terms, then the function fz has an essential singularity at that point, and it is an isolated essential singularity, and non-isolated singularities occur as limits of sequences of poles like here. So now from 2 it follows that fz has a pole of order m at z equal to z naught. Now you can see the following from here. This is the definition of a pole of order m. You can see here, if you multiply this equation by z minus z naught to the power m and take the limit as z tends to z naught, then see what happens. Z minus z naught to the power m into fz will be equal to summation n equal to 0 to infinity bn z minus z naught to the power n plus m plus c1 into z minus z naught to the power m minus 1 c2 z minus z naught to the power m minus 2 and so on cm minus 1 z minus z naught plus cm. Okay. Now take the limit as z tends to z naught. Okay. Then what will happen when you take n equal to 0, we will have b naught z minus z naught to the power m. So every term on the right hand side contains z minus z naught as a factor except this last term, and therefore when z tends to z naught, what we get is cm. Okay. So the function fz has a pole of order m if z minus z naught to the power m into fz as z tends to z naught is not equal to 0, cm must not be 0. So this is another definition of a pole of order m. From 2 it follows that fz has a pole of order m at z equal to z naught provided limit z tends to z naught, z minus z naught to the power m into fz is a finite quantity which is non-zero. Okay. So for example, fz equal to 2z plus 1 over z minus 1 whole square into z square plus 1. You can see here limit now you can see fz is singular at the point z equal to 1 and z equal to plus minus I, because z square plus 1 equal to 0 means z is equal to plus minus I. So z has 3 singularities, z equal to I, z equal to minus I and z equal to 1. Let us see the nature of these singularities. So we here see that limit z tends to 1 z minus 1 whole square into fz is equal to limit z tends to 1 z minus 1 whole square into 2z plus 1 upon z minus 1 whole square into z square plus 1. So this will cancel with this, and when z tends to 1 we will get 3 divided by 2, okay, which is non-zero. So fz has a pole of order 2 at z equal to 1. Now if you multiply here by z minus 1 instead of z minus 1 square, then what will happen? Z minus 1 will cancel, 1 z minus 1 will cancel, and in the denominator we will get 1 more z minus 1. So as z tends to 1 it will become infinity. So we go on increasing the power of z minus 1 till we get a finite non-zero limit. So z minus just z minus 1 is not giving us the non-zero limit. So we make z minus 1 square, which gives us a non-zero limit. So we have pole of order 1 at z equal to 1, pole of order 2 at z equal to 1. Now again we have singularity at z equal to I n minus I. So limit z tends to I, we start with z minus I, okay, power 1. So 2z plus 1 divided by z minus 1 square into, here we can factorize z minus I, z plus I. So, this will cancel with this and we will get limit as 2I plus 1 divided by I minus 1 whole square into 2I, okay, which is a non-zero quantity. Okay. So, at z equal to I we have a simple pole, Fz has a simple pole. Similarly, we can show that at z equal to minus I, Fz has a simple pole in a similar manner. Now, let us look at the polynomial Pz equal to a naught plus a1z and so on a n z to the power n, where a n is not equal to 0. We know that this function is analytic for all finite z, because we can differentiate Pz for any z which is finite. Now, it is a polynomial of degree n, as a n is not equal to 0. We want to show that it has a pole of order n at z equal to infinity. So, let us take let z be equal to 1 by w. Okay. So, we will get, we then have P 1 by w equal to a naught plus a 1 by w, a 2 by w square and so on a n by w to the power n. Okay. And this is nothing but the LoRa series of P 1 by w. Okay. We can see that this LoRa series has this is the principal part of the LoRa series. Okay. Since a n is not 0, P 1 by w has a pole of order n at w equal to 0. At w equal to 0, and as a result of this, Pz has a pole of order n at z equal to infinity. Okay. Now, let us look at the branch point. A branch point of a multivalued function is a point such that the function is discontinuous when going around an arbitrarily small circuit around this point. Let us say, for example, Fz equal to z minus 2 to the power half. So, this is your z equal to 2. Let us take a point A. Okay. Say this angle is theta 1. Okay. Then let us say let w equal to z minus 2 to the power half. Okay. This is theta. Okay. So, we will have let us start making a complete round starting with A around the point z equal to 2. Okay. Now, at the point z equal to A, if you take z minus 2 equal to r e to the power I theta, then what will happen? W will be equal to r to the power half e to the power I theta by 2 at A. Okay. So, when we return back, okay, at A, then what will happen? Theta will become theta plus 2 pi. Okay. So, when we make a complete circuit, about z equal to 2, okay, at the point A, theta becomes theta plus 2 pi. So, what do we get? We get the value of W as r to the power half e to the power I theta plus 2 pi by 2, which is equal to r to the power half e to the power I theta by 2 into minus 1, that is minus r to the power half e to the power I theta by 2. So, we do not get the same value. Okay. We do not get the same value with which we started. However, if we make one more round, okay, however, if we make another one more round, then at A theta becomes theta plus 4 pi, and we get the same value. Same value of W, that is r to the power half e to the power I theta plus 4 pi by 2, which is equal to r to the power half e to the power I theta by 2. Now, this means that when 0 is less than or equal to theta less than 2 pi, okay, we get one value of W. Okay. When 2 pi is less than or equal to theta less than 4 pi, we get another value of W. Okay. So, there are two branches. Okay. One branch is for the value of theta lying between 0 and 2 pi, 0 less than or equal to theta less than 2 pi, and the other branch is for the values of theta lying between 2 pi to 4 pi. And what we do is we draw this boundary. Okay. This is boundary. So, when we take a complete round here, we assume that we will not cross this boundary. We will go to the other branch after one complete round. Okay. We will go to the other branch to get another single valued function. So, one single valued function we will get on one branch, 0 less than or equal to theta less than 2 pi, and the other branch we will get for the other value of theta, 2 pi less than or equal to theta less than 4 pi. This line is called as the branch cut or branch line. Okay. So, we do not cross this. As soon as we reach here, we move to the other branch, and this point z equal to 2 is called then the branch point of f z. So, the singularity of f z at z equal to z naught is called an essential singularity if there is no positive integer n such that limit z tends to z naught, z minus z naught to the power n, f z is equal to a. For example, if you take f z equal to e to the power z 1 by z, it has a essential singularity at z equal to 0. You can see that we can write f z equal to e to the power 1 by z as 1 plus 1 by z, 1 by 2 factorial z square, and so on. Okay. This expansion of e to the power 1 by z we have written using the expansion of f z as e to the power z equal to 1 plus z square by 2 factorial and so on. Okay. So, replacing z by 1 over z there, we have found this expansion, and this expansion, since e to the power 1 by z is analytic in the whole complex plane except at z equal to 0, this series expansion of e to the power 1 by z will be convergent for 0 less than mod of z less than infinity. You can take two concentric circles with center at z equal to 0. The inner circle you can go on reducing till you reach the point z equal to 0, outer circle we can go on expanding till we reach infinity. So, the region of convergence is 0 less than mod z less than infinity, and you can see this is the principal part of the Lorentz series of e to the power 1 by z, which contains infinitely many terms in the powers of 1 over z. So, there are infinitely many terms. So, the singularity f z equal to e to the power 1 by z at z equal to 0 is an essential singularity. Now, we can arrive at this conclusion by using this Lorentz series expansion as well as by using this definition. In this definition, what we will do? We have to see whether it has essential singularity at z equal to 0. So, let us take the limit z tends to 0, z into the power n into f z is e to the power 1 by z. Now, this limit is never a non-zero. Okay. It is always infinity. Okay. Whatever value of n you take, n is equal to 1, 2, 3, however large value of n you take, n to the power n, z to the power n into e to the power 1 by z is always infinity. So, this is this function f z has an essential singularity at z equal to 0, because we cannot find any positive integer n such that this limit is a. Okay. Now, if you take f z equal to sin 1 by z, then we can see that sin 1 by z has zeros at z equal to 1 over n pi, where and takes values plus minus 1, plus minus 2 and so on. The limit point of these zeros, okay, is the point z equal to 0, where the function sin 1 by z has a singularity. So, sin 1 by z has a isolated singularity at isolated essential singularity at of f z. Okay. This is an isolated essential singularity of sin 1 by z. You can also see this by the expansion of sin z. Sin z has this expansion, sin z has this expansion z minus z cube by 3 factorial, z 5 by 5 factorial and so on. Okay. Then sin 1 by z equal to 1 by z minus 1 by 3 factorial into 1 by z cube, 1 by 5 factorial, 1 by z to the power 5 and so on. Okay. So, this is the principal part of the Lorentz series which contains infinitely many terms. So, this has essential singularity, sin z has sin 1 by z has essential singularity at z equal to 0, and we can also use this definition. If you multiply sin 1 by z to the power n and take the limit as z tends to 0, okay, no value of n, howsoever large you take, will ever give you a non-zero finite quantity as its limit. So, sin 1 by z has an isolated essential singularity of at z equal to 0. With this, I would like to end my lecture. Thank you very much for your attention.